It's extremely grueling. We always say that we stretch you to the point where we can see all your holes.
Point of fire there. Give me rapid.
The Joint Readiness Training Center rotation is like a cricket bat in the face over and over again.
What's that right?
I'm Sian Grzeszczyk, and I'm joining the Welsh Cavalry as they spend 12 days in what's known as the Box, a feared training area that's been used to test troops to their limits for decades.
We trained soldiers before World War II, we trained soldiers before the Vietnam conflict, we trained soldiers before the deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq, and now we're preparing them for future battlefields.
Fort Polk in Louisiana is one of 3 elite US Army training centers in the world. It's known as the Joint Readiness Training Center. Once inside the most feared arch in America, soldiers face 12 days of tests as they practice for war.
Good afternoon, my name is Sergeant First Class Angel.
But before they enter, there are a few things they need to know, not about the enemy. It's the environment that could be a bigger threat.
Poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac are now coming back out, being it's the springtime. So try to avoid getting that stuff on your hands and then rubbing your face. Heavy rains and tornadoes. Pigs, we've had a lot of pig encounters, so wild boar. There are 6 extremely poisonous snakes in this area. And the cottonmouth likes to chase soldiers.
And that's not to mention the swamps. Oh, and how many training areas have signs like these? It won't just be snakes and alligators they need to worry about. Their enemy is a highly trained local force, familiar with the terrain and used to winning in battle.
As usual, no prisoners. Questions?
I think we are considered the most hated unit in the United States Army.
How often do you win?
I would say, how often do we lose? And that would be never.
Okay, so task org, namely changes.
The Welsh Cavalry, first the Queen's Dragoon Guards, have to integrate fast.
Tomorrow is our first action with the US unit. It's been a crazy week this week, okay? And there's been ups and downs and they're not sure what to make of us like that. We go out there tomorrow and we come back and we show them the skills that we've got. It is going to blow their minds. And we need to perform these next couple of days.
It begins. Half the battle group will be inserted on Black Hawks. Many of them won't have been on a Black Hawk before.
No, none of them. I think there's 2 of us, pretty much in the entire squadron, to be fair.
And what is it like?
I don't agree with these. They don't agree with me, and I don't agree with them.
So you're not particularly looking forward to this training?
They fly a bit different to a UK helicopter.
The way we enter and exit is from the 3 o'clock to the 9 o'clock. Don't go too far forward, don't go too far back.
All right, go ahead and come in. They need training to arrive by air, so they've got to practice loading off and on Chinooks and Black Hawks.
So it's essentially just practicing what we need to do, so that the load plan is slick and everyone knows where they need to be and when, and then we're quick at getting off essentially when we're in a potentially hazardous environment at the other end.
If you hear us start yelling egress, 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 I mean there's an emergency, you guys need to get out of the aircraft.
It's nice working with the American guys because we're very similar. I think a lot of the young lads are realising how similar the Americans are to us. It's languages are different, so just the way they talk about things, that's it.
When you're coming off, I want to make sure you go up to 6 o'clock being the most desirable, 3, 9, 12 being least desirable due to low drooping rotors. 3, 2, 1, 6 inches. Yeah, let's go, let's go. 12, 13.
Showtime. Right now, stay
thousands of soldiers are preparing to enter the box, and you really get a sense as to just how big the scale of this exercise is. The Welsh Cavalry will be joining them, are about to get on the Black Hawks right behind me.
Yeah, you guys are going to be on the 4th aircraft on the runway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this one right here.
We've got to make sure that we can all get on within 2 minutes and then get off within 30 seconds. It's the first time they've seen the ground here. Everything is new, and we landed hours later than originally planned. With many carrying more than 50 kilograms on their backs, they'll spend the next 12 days inside the box.
So worth doing it now and then push off. So give you 2 seconds once they're on position.
We now have to set off with the recce platoon on a 15-kilometre mission to conduct long-range reconnaissance and surveillance on the enemy and report back vital intelligence.
4 fires, Eagle 5-5.
We have to turn the cameras off so as not to give away our position. But we're not going to sleep. We have to walk all night wearing night vision goggles. The environment and the spiders and the poison ivy and the snakes is at the forefront of my mind. Should be an interesting night. What's that behind you? I know it sounds really strange, but it's actually really nice to wake up and actually be able to see the terrain and see the ground, because what was quite disorientating throughout the night, looking through the night vision goggles, is that, you know, it's very uneven ground. We crossed swamps. At one point we had to go back on ourselves because someone actually was completely submerged in the swamp.
So there's obviously lots of unmarked waterways, seasonal waterways as they call them on the maps. Most of them aren't marked. They often look quite shallow, and one of the corporals unfortunately went crossing the wrong spot and went head under at 2 a.m. in the morning, which wasn't so fun.
There was one point during the night where we had to hide from the enemy, who were literally just meters away from us, and thankfully they didn't discover us. But yeah, it's giving me a real sense as to what it's like being out on the ground on a live exercise where you can get lost and anything can happen.
The last 24 hours was definitely sleep debt, but it becomes part of the job, so definitely sleep debt. Frustrating. Everything here is like twigs and branches that just seem to find every gap in your glasses. So they're quite funny. Yeah, and then the ground, it's super dry, but then the minute you lie on that ground, it just, you sink into it. It's like a sponge, and every 15 minutes you got to move. So it's kind of lucky we didn't sleep, because if I had my sleeping bag out and I had a couple of hours sleep, I would probably have been swimming.
Well, I think the guys will learn some lesson about heat, carriage of kit, and I just think some of those really low-level skills to keep themselves administered in the field. People's feet will be getting wet and then getting hot. People will be carrying lots of kit. Water consumption has been a really big one for us. So all those low-level basic skills that form the foundation of any operational deployment will definitely thrash out here, and the guys will be much better off for it.
So how do the Americans rate the performance of the Welsh Cavalry so far?
Well, what I watched them do is show just mastery of the fundamentals. We had a long-range reconnaissance mission that they walked through some of the worst terrain we have here in Fort Polk. They got into a position of relative advantage. They were able to observe the terrain. They were able to render phenomenal, accurate reporting about what the enemy was doing. And then they passed the wild boars, 230 infantry, into the fight. It was masterfully done.
There's 2 weeks of tests to go, and this is the man behind them.
It's extremely grueling. We always say that we stretch you to the point where we can see all your holes. So every rotation pushes a brigade to the point of really exposing what all their weaknesses are.
Next time, in the heat of battle, see just how difficult the enemy is making life for the troops on exercise Rattlesnake, and take a look at the Special Forces vehicles on loan to the Welsh Cavalry. Sian Grzeszczyk, Forces News, Fort Polk, Louisiana. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.